America is still reacting to the extraordinary federal charges levied by Special Counsel Jack Smith yesterday. 4 charges, all related to the aftermath of the 2020 presidential election and targeting former President Donald Trump. Joining us right now out of New York State, all members of Congress are back home. They must be so happy to be in their district. She's Representative Claudia Tenney. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on again.
It's hard not to see this as political, especially since it's all about the aftermath of the 2020 election. What's in this indictment that we didn't know 2 years ago, let alone 6 months ago? The timing's impeccable.
Absolutely nothing. And that's because we had that bombshell testimony out of Devin Archer connecting the dots and linking Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, which is what it's all about. Joe Biden is the one in the position of influence. It's influence peddling. We know that we have evidence of bribery, and they're doing everything they can. The Department of Justice, remember, who is appointed by Biden but served the American people, not the Biden family, is running for cover in every instance, whether it's to slow walk and prevent the whistleblowers from the IRS from getting to the evidence they needed. Now it's trying to prevent Devin Archer. They interfered on Saturday and said, oh, my goodness, we can't have him testify. We got to send him to jail right away. Then they backed out of that because that's obstruction of justice, of course. So it's really all about the Department of Justice trying to protect Joe Biden and the inevitable link that we all see, whether it's the suppressing the laptop all the way back to 2019, putting out the 51 so-called former intelligence agents who should all lose their security clearance absolutely for what they did, for lying and doing and engaging in this type of obstruction as well. And yet they're charging President Trump with these sort of flimsy looking charges that are, they're antiquated, never been really used before. And they also violate President Trump's First Amendment rights. And as you say, Larry, why didn't they charge him 2.5 years ago? Oh, why? Because he's the front runner in the Republican nomination to become our nominee on the Republican side. And, he's beating Joe Biden in the polls. So that we got to take him out. And he's an existential threat to the Democrats in the deep state.
Well, listen, I appreciate you spending as much time in that answer talking about the Biden crimes, because that is what we should be paying attention to. It's what we had been paying attention to all week. That's why this is so suspicious. I'm sure you've seen the timeline. The last 3 charges brought on by Jack Smith have all come literally the day after a horrible legal day for the Biden family.
Absolutely. These are all rolled out. This is coordinated, calculated. It almost reminds me of a RICO situation on using federal employees. You have, that's the racketeering, influence, corrupt statute that is often used for organized crime. But when you see anytime something comes out that is looks bad for Joe Biden, all of a sudden everybody rushes in the Department of Justice under Merrick Garland. And remember, these people really all report to Merrick Garland, whether it's the AG down in Delaware who didn't want to charge Hunter Biden and then dredged up the plea deal right before the whistleblowers came out. Now, every time Jack Smith rolls out some kind of phony charges against Trump, just like the plea deal was just a disaster. So really, that's what it's all about. And I think the American people I think people are starting to realize it. But look, it's all going to come down to process in the end, and whether we can get our voters out and get people to understand what's happening. Because if you watch other channels, they're not talking about this. They're talking about, random countries and things happening there that nobody cares about.
The Congresswoman, based on that, would you join? Some of your colleagues are saying, when we get back into session, we should defund the special counsel's office. Let's use our power of the purse strings and defund Jack Smith's operation. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think defunding you got to be careful with it, because we have very good people who serve in those positions who are at the mercy of people like Merrick Garland, Jack Smith. But, why don't we have a special counsel appointed for this Biden situation? Look at what we have put together, whether it's through James Comer's suspicious activities report, from the Oversight Committee. Jason Smith put out the whistleblowers in the Ways and Means Committee, on which I serve. I'm on the Oversight Committee of the Ways and Means Committee. They revealed all this, putting it all together. The bombshell document that Senator Grassley put out showing the FBI informant linking Joe Biden and his son. Honestly, Hunter Biden's not going to make $83,000 a year with Burisma if it weren't for Joe Biden.
$83,000 a month. $83,000 a month.
A month, right? Let me.
And by the way, he probably couldn't make $83,000 a year anywhere if his last name weren't
Absolutely.
Biden.
Well, except he's a painter now, right? Don't you think that? Honestly, this is my guess, and this is an opinion. I think that's another money laundering scheme. I don't even believe Hunter Biden's making those paintings. I think that's a way to funnel money to the Bidens. But here's the thing. I think we first have to impeach and remove Merrick Garland because he's the dirty cop right now who is causing all this obstruction. He's the one that's preventing us from getting to the truth because we ultimately need to impeach and remove Joe Biden. But we can't do that until we get to all the evidence. And I think that's what Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, all the DOJ is doing. They're running interference, they're running cover, they're running a quasi-RICO operation to make sure they protect Joe Biden. That is not the role of the DOJ. The DOJ's job is to serve the American people, equal justice under the law, and we're not getting that.
All right, you keep raising the specter of RICO. You better start moving to defund these guys if it's RICO, but I hear you.
Well, look, yeah, definitely. I mean, we can defund that operation, but the problem with defunding is, how are we going to have the money to go forward with the Joe Biden operations?
You mentioned your position on the Ways and Means Committee, and I do think Chairman Smith has done an excellent job making sure that everything is done and rolled out properly with these whistleblowers. Gary Shapley, the first whistleblower yesterday, was on television saying that he knows firsthand there are many other whistleblowers who have been intimidated by the FBI, who won't come forward because they're terrified of what might happen to them. What can your committee or anyone in Congress do to protect these men and women?
Well, first of all, we are trying to protect them. It was the first whistleblower came out, was able to, through his attorney, he revealed who he was, by the way, from upstate New York in my old district, Norwich, New York. The second whistleblower did not want his identity revealed because he knew that he would be ambushed by media and threatened. And that's a huge problem. Look what they did to Devin Archer, who's, by the way, a criminal, but they were going to try to force him to go to jail early so that he couldn't testify. So Jason Smith, to his credit, he's our chairman. He opened this whistleblower portal for the IRS, for the whistleblowers to come forward. And the whole point of the whistleblower statute is to protect people who know something that's not right in government, and they're going to come forward with that knowledge so that we can maintain our oversight. And we're going to continue to do that with the Oversight Committee, the subcommittee from Ways and Means. And we should be continuing to do that on the Oversight Committee, the larger Oversight Committee that in the House. Yeah. And we're going to continue to do that. We've got to make that happen, and we've got to protect these whistleblowers because this is, I keep hearing, Merrick Garland came out yesterday, big crime, this is a big crime. No, the biggest criminal action in the history of this country is everything Joe Biden right now. Yeah. You thought Hillary Clinton was bad? This is terrible. Remember Richard Nixon? He didn't commit the crime. He committed the cover-up. Yeah. Joe Biden is committing a crime in plain sight, and he's using the government that he's controlling on the executive branch to cover it up. It's worse than anything we've ever seen in this country's history. Yeah, crime, cover-up, obstruction of justice. It's right, and it's happening before our eyes, as you mentioned, the attempt to arrest Devin Archer. Devin Archer, by the way, when he did testify, he revealed unequivocally that multiple times, over 20 times, the president was on the phone and put on speakerphone when business associates were in the room with Hunter Biden. Now, your colleague, Dan Goldman, congressman from New York, part of your caucus there, he claims that they were just talking about the weather, therefore it's okay. Your understanding of the law, I'm curious. If you're accused of selling access, does it matter exactly what the contents of that phone call are? Or if you're selling the fact that you can get someone like the vice president on the phone, isn't that proof enough? Well, we should get more evidence on that. But by the way, Loretta Lynch was only talking about her grandchildren when she made that special stop to meet with the president, the prior president. And Hillary Clinton was only making yoga appointments in her emails. Right, exactly. Yes. She was talking about her grandchildren, too. Look, the problem with this is we already have evidence that's contrary to that. We have evidence from the laptop that actually states it's text messages from Joe Biden to his daughter saying, don't worry, I'm not going to split it halfway with you like I have to do with dad, the big guy. I'm going to give it all to you. I'm going to transfer that money to you for what services does she do? Nothing. She's a Biden. Same thing that finally was unearthed yesterday that came up a long time ago. Remember the phone call that was revealed a long time ago between Joe Biden and Hunter when they said, it looks like we're in the clear now. Oh, on the New York Times article about the Chinese associate. Right. Yeah, finally, so we know Joe Biden is in the middle of this. Joe Biden set Hunter Biden up. Yeah. We just have to get the evidence to get there. And the DOJ is working like an organized crime organization to prevent us from getting that information. All right. We are out of time, but Claudia Tenney, Congresswoman from New York, you're on fire when you're back in your home district. No wonder. In Washington, D.C., it's a tough place to really feel yourself. Thank you, Congresswoman. We'll be back with more here on O'Connor Tonight.